The morning sun peeked through the trees, just as it always had. But something felt different. Kancil stood on a small hill, gazing over the forest he called home. The leaves didn't shimmer as much in the light, and the usual chorus of birds seemed quieter. He sniffed the air. It was dry, too dry. As he wandered down the path, he noticed the creek that once babbled happily was now only a trickle. Tiny fish darted around in shallow pools, their silver bodies glinting as if asking for help. Kancil's ears perked up. Somewhere nearby, someone was groaning. It was Tupai, the squirrel, looking distressed by a tree stump. "My acorns," she whined. "They were buried here, but the soil's cracked and dry. I can't dig." Kancil knelt beside her, poking at the ground with his hoof. "This isn't normal," he said gently. "The earth shouldn't be this hard, even after dry days." "Maybe it's the weather," Tupai murmured. "But the birds flew south early. Even the frogs have gone quiet." Kancil's clever mind began to spin. Something was wrong in the forest. Something more than just dry days and missing frogs. "I'll find out what's happening," Kancil promised. "Maybe it's nothing, but maybe it's something." He walked on, ears alert, eyes sharp. Leaves crunched under his feet, but not the soft kind. These were brittle, curled, and tired. The forest wasn't sick, not yet. But it wasn't healthy either. And Kancil was determined to figure out why. Kancil followed the shrinking creek, his small hooves stepping carefully over roots and rocks. The sun had climbed higher, but the breeze still carried the quiet hum of the forest, calm, yet uneasy. Soon, he heard a strange sloshing sound, like something heavy trying to move through thick pudding. "Hello," Kancil called out gently. "Here. I'm stuck," came a low, tired voice. Under a drooping tree near the edge of the stream, Kancil spotted an old turtle, Tempurung. His shell was half buried in a patch of sticky mud that had once been cool and wet, but now clung to him like thick glue. "I was cooling off," Tempurung groaned, "but the water dried up too fast. I can't move my legs." Kancil tiptoed closer, looking around. The mud pit was wide, but not deep. "If I find something strong to help pull you, do you think you can wiggle free?" "I can try," Tempurung sighed. Kancil ran into the bushes and returned with a long branch. He wedged it under the turtle's shell and pushed gently while Tempurung wiggled. With a long squelch and a loud grunt, the turtle finally popped free, covered in mud from head to tail. "Thank you," he said, catching his breath. "I've lived here for decades, but never seen the creek dry so quickly." Kancil sat beside him. "That's what I'm trying to understand. The forest is changing. Something's not right." Tempurung looked toward the sky. "Maybe we forgot to listen. The forest always speaks, but we've been too busy surviving to hear." Kancil nodded, storing the words in his clever little head. Then, a gust of warm wind swept past them. From the mud behind, something strange caught Kancil's eye, deep claw marks, half faded but large. He narrowed his eyes. This wasn't just about dry weather. Something, or someone, had passed through here. The sun was high now, and the wind whispered through the tall grasses. Kancil followed the edge of the drying creek, where mud turned to cracked earth, and cracked earth faded into fine, pale sand. It was quiet here, too quiet. He slowed his steps. Across the sandy riverbank, he saw them, tracks. Big ones. 4 deep prints, spaced far apart, and with long claw marks trailing behind. Whatever made them was large and heavy. Kancil crouched low and studied the ground. The prints curved toward a narrow path into the denser part of the forest, one he had never dared enter before. Just then, a rustle came from behind a bush. He jumped. But it was only Tikus Hutton, a forest rat, with wide, twitching eyes. "You saw them too," she whispered. "The footprints." Kancil nodded. "What made them?" Tikus looked around nervously. "No one knows. Some say it's a lost Harimau. Others say something worse." Kancil frowned. "You mean a predator?" Tikus nodded, clutching her tail. "My family moved deeper underground. We're afraid. Even Gagak won't fly over this path anymore." Kancil looked again at the sand. The trail wasn't fresh. But it wasn't old either. "Maybe it's just one lost animal," he said, trying to reassure her and himself. "Or maybe it's part of the forest's warning." "Warning of what?" "That's what I'm trying to find out." He turned and followed the prints, staying just far enough not to be seen, but close enough not to lose the trail. Whatever was changing the forest, it had already passed through here. Kancil followed the trail deeper into the trees, where the sunlight grew patchier and the shadows longer. The sound of birds had faded. Even the wind felt quiet here. Suddenly, he heard tiny squeaks, panicked and fast. He followed the sound to a thicket of tangled roots near a fallen log. There, a group of forest mice scrambled nervously. Their burrows, once hidden under layers of leaves, were now exposed, collapsed from above. "Kancil," squeaked one mouse, her fur dusty and her eyes wide. "It came through last night." Heavy steps. Deep growls. "It crushed our tunnels." The others huddled close, trembling. Kancil looked around. The ground above the burrows was disturbed. Roots torn. Soil packed tight. And there again, faint marks. Deep claws. Spread far apart. "I'm so sorry," Kancil said softly. "Were any of you hurt?" "No," whispered the mouse. "But we don't know where to go now. The ground isn't safe anymore." Kancil felt a pang in his chest. These mice were small and harmless. They had lived here for seasons, just like him. "I'll help you," he said. "There must be a safe place nearby. Somewhere untouched." One of the younger mice looked up. "Why is this happening? What does it want?" Kancil glanced toward the dark path beyond the trees. "I don't know yet," he said. "But I will find out." As the mice began to gather their things and scurry away, Kancil stood watch. The forest was changing, and the creatures who called it home were starting to move. But the question stayed in his mind. Was something chasing them all away? By midday, the heat pressed heavily through the trees. Kancil's tiny steps slowed, but his thoughts moved faster than ever. He had seen too many things: dry creeks, frightened voices, broken tunnels, deep claw marks. But no answers. Then a soft rumble. Kancil stopped and looked up. Through the haze of heat and leaf-filtered light, stood Gadja, a massive, old elephant. He was still as stone, half-shadowed beneath a towering tree. His eyes, heavy with wisdom, stared at nothing. Kancil approached slowly. "Gadja," he called gently. The elephant turned his head, just slightly. You've seen what's happening, Kancil continued. You always know. Can you tell me why the forest is changing? But Gadger said nothing. His trunk moved slowly, brushing dry grass aside. Kancil stepped closer. I've seen claw marks. Heard growls. The mice are moving. The creek is drying. What is it we're not seeing? Gadger exhaled a long, low breath like wind through caves. He finally spoke. It has returned. Kancil froze. What has? Gadger's eyes met his. The one who once ruled the forest by fear. The one we forgot. Kancil's heart skipped. Why didn't anyone warn us? Because we hoped it would never wake again, Gadger said. But now, the forest is waking with it. He turned away and began walking, slowly and silently, leaving wide prints in the soft earth. Kancil stood alone once more. But his chest felt heavier now, not just with worry, but with purpose. If no one else would protect the forest, he would try. No matter how clever the enemy. The next morning, the forest awoke under a pale orange sky. Kancil walked along a ridge that overlooked the trees, hoping for a better view. His legs were tired, but his mind was full. Suddenly, a gust of wind passed overhead, followed by a flash of wings. Berang! Kancil called. From the sky descended Elang, a sleek forest eagle with feathers like polished wood and eyes sharp as thorns. He landed on a bare branch, high above Kancil's head. You've been flying, said Kancil. What have you seen? Elang looked down, his voice low and clear. I've seen movement in the western woods. Trees falling. Shadows too large for deer. I saw the river turn brown with silt. The hill near the bamboo grove is cracked, like something is shifting underneath. Do you know what it is? Kancil asked. No, said Elang. But the forest's shape is changing. Paths are bending. The ground is warming. It's as if the forest is breathing, but differently. Kancil stared toward the horizon. What about the mountains? Elang's feathers ruffled. Mist gathers there, thicker than usual. I didn't fly close. Kancil nodded slowly. So it's coming from the west. I think, said Elang, it's already here. But not yet awake. The wind moved again, rustling leaves and carrying scents Kancil didn't recognize, dry moss, dust, and something deeper. He looked up. Can you help me? Elang paused. I cannot stop what's coming. But I can watch from above and warn you. And with that, the eagle lifted off, wings wide, disappearing into the brightening sky. Kancil stood tall, feeling the edge of something near but not yet revealed. That evening, as the sky turned dusky purple, Kancil wandered toward a clearing near the bamboo grove. The ground felt oddly warm beneath his hooves, like the forest itself had a hidden fever. He paused. There it was again. A sound. Not wind. Not footsteps. But a low, steady hum, like a growl buried deep in the earth. It pulsed through the soil, faint but real, like a warning whisper no one else could hear. Kancil knelt down, placing his ear close to the ground. The hum grew louder. Then a thud. Startled, he backed away. The earth trembled, just slightly. Nearby, a cluster of bamboo creaked, their thin trunks shifting ever so slightly. Kancil. It was Tupai, the squirrel, emerging from a branch above. "You feel it too?" Kancil asked. Tupai nodded, hugging the tree. "The roots are restless. The trees don't like it." "What is it?" he asked quietly. Tupai hesitated. "I don't know. But I heard the old owl say something about a forgotten tunnel beneath this part of the forest. A place no one goes." Kancil looked toward the cracked hill in the distance. The soil here was splitting. A wide fracture ran along the edge of the grove. He stared into it. And for just a moment, he thought he saw something move deep below. A shape, shifting in the dark. Not fully formed. Not fully awake. But it was there. The voice beneath the ground wasn't a voice at all. It was a heartbeat. The crack in the ground was still glowing when Kancil turned away. He didn't run. He walked slowly through the forest, past the bamboo grove, past the silent trees and the dry creek. Everything felt heavier now, like the forest was holding its breath. But Kancil wasn't afraid. He had made a choice. At the edge of a small clearing, he found them, all the animals he had helped. Tikas and her family huddled near a rock. Tupai clung to a branch above. Tempurung the turtle rested in the shade. Even Elang perched high above in the trees. And Gadger stood quietly in the distance, watching. Kancil stepped forward. "Something is moving beneath us," he said calmly. "We don't know what it is yet, but we've all felt it." The others nodded. "It may be big. It may be old. But the forest is not helpless." He looked around, one by one. "The trees may not speak. But we do. And together, we can listen. We can warn. We can watch. And when the time comes, we can stand." A quiet hush fell across the clearing. Then, Tikas stepped forward. "What should we do?" Kancil smiled gently. "We start small. We stay alert. And we protect each other." From the sky, Elang let out a long, steady cry. Gadger lifted his trunk. And deep beneath the soil, the forest's heartbeat pulsed once more, but softer now, almost like it was listening too. The danger wasn't over. But neither was the story of this forest. And as long as someone was clever, and kind, and brave, the forest would have a chance.